Clara Bow thought she could protect her image by dragging her former secretary into court. But instead of keeping things quiet, everything exploded. Suddenly, the world was hearing things they weren't supposed to. Rumors about wild parties, affairs with married men, and even one accusation so shocking it sounded more like fiction than gossip. True or not, the damage was done. And Clara wasn't the only one caught in the crossfire. For many stars in old Hollywood, fame came with a price. And for some, that price was a lifetime of whispers, scandals, and secrets too dark to say out loud. Some of the stories you're about to hear are creepy, some are tragic, and a few are so twisted, they still haunt Hollywood's legacy to this day.
Number 10. Thomas Ince.
Before Hollywood became the empire it is today, Thomas Ince helped build the blueprint. He wasn't a star but a studio pioneer. A man who introduced organized film production, created fully equipped studio lots, and helped shape what we now know as the Hollywood system. But his groundbreaking legacy was overshadowed by one mysterious event, the night he died. In 1924, Ince was invited aboard the lavish yacht of newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst to celebrate his birthday. It was supposed to be a weekend of champagne, music, and Hollywood elites. Among the guests were Charlie Chaplin and Marion Davies, Hearst's mistress. But before the yacht returned to shore, Ince was dead. The official story claimed he suffered a sudden bout of indigestion and died of heart failure. But something didn't add up. Rumors began to spread like wildfire. According to whispers, Hearst had caught Chaplin getting too close to Davies. In a jealous rage, he allegedly pulled a gun on Chaplin, but missed and shot Ince instead. Whether accidental or intentional, Ince was reportedly rushed off the yacht, cremated almost immediately, and never given a proper autopsy. And then there were the witnesses. Some stayed silent, others were rewarded, including Luella Parsons, a columnist who mysteriously secured a lifetime contract with Hearst's paper shortly after the incident.
No charges, no questions,
just a rushed cremation and a sea of rumors.
Did Hearst kill Thomas Ince? Was it a cover-up?
Or just a tragic coincidence? Nearly a century later, nobody knows for sure. But the story still lingers, a chilling reminder that in old Hollywood, even death could be edited.
Number 9. Judy Garland.
To the world, Judy Garland was a star. The voice of innocence in The Wizard of Oz, the girl who made the world believe in magic. But behind the studio lights and Technicolor dreams was a life built on control, exploitation, and quiet suffering. Judy wasn't discovered, she was claimed. At just 13, she was pulled into the studio system by MGM co-founder Louis B. Mayer, who reportedly said he didn't care what she looked like, only how she sounded. That might have seemed like praise, until the same studio began calling her a fat little pig with pigtails, just a year later. Her weight, her voice, her image, everything was regulated. Judy wasn't treated like a person.
She was a product.
According to those close to her, she was placed on extreme diets, constantly criticized, and forced to take pills around the clock, uppers to keep her working, downers to make her sleep. Rumor has it, she was restricted to black coffee, chicken soup, and pills every few hours just to keep the weight off. And that wasn't all. Studio insiders claimed she was forced to smoke dozens of cigarettes a day to curb her appetite. At one point, she was allegedly taking so many stimulants that doctors described her as a permanent semi-invalid by the time she was 37. It wasn't just physical control, it was emotional warfare. The same studio heads who had praised her talent would dangle food in front of her and take it away before she could eat. Every calorie was monitored, every pound was judged. And even after she got married, MGM allegedly pushed her even harder, desperate to preserve the illusion of their perfect leading lady. Judy Garland wasn't just a casualty of addiction. She was a victim of a system that created her, profited from her, and slowly destroyed her. To the fans, she was always Dorothy. But behind the curtain, she was just another young girl Hollywood chewed up and spit out.
Number 8.
Howard Strickling. In every Hollywood scandal, there's always someone working in the shadows. Someone whose job isn't to tell the truth, but to bury it. And during the golden age, that someone was Howard Strickling. As the head of publicity at MGM, he wasn't just a PR man, he was the studio's problem solver. If a star slipped up, Strickling made it disappear. If a scandal threatened a contract, he swept it under the rug. But according to countless whispers, some of his cleanups were darker than anyone knew. Rumors say Strickling was the go-to man for one thing above all: forced abortions. In an era where a pregnancy could destroy a rising actress's image, studios didn't take chances. If an actress found herself in trouble, the choice wasn't really hers to make. Strickling would step in, and the problem would vanish. Quietly, quickly, brutally. Names like Jean Harlow, Joan Crawford, Bette Davis, and even Judy Garland have been tied to him in these stories. Whether the actresses agreed or not, the studio's interests always came first. Some insiders claimed Strickling worked with a shadowy doctor nicknamed Dr. Kilcare, who handled the procedures without leaving a paper trail. Others believed he used threats and contracts to keep women silent, forcing them to choose between their careers and their babies. And for those who didn't go quietly, rumor has it they were blacklisted, replaced, or broken down until they had no choice. It's hard to say how much is true, or how many careers he controlled from behind his office door. But even decades later, the name Howard Strickling still surfaces in whispers. Not as a hero, not even as a villain, but as the man who made sure Hollywood's darkest secrets stayed buried.
Number 7. Fatty Arbuckle.
Before the glitz, before the red carpets, before celebrity culture became a machine, there was Fatty Arbuckle. One of Hollywood's first true stars, he wasn't just famous, he was adored. A millionaire comedian with a booming career, Arbuckle was comedy royalty. But in 1921, that all came crashing down during a Labor Day party that would become the blueprint for every scandal that followed. The setting was a private hotel suite packed with music, alcohol, and movie industry elites. But by the end of the night, a young actress named Virginia Rappe was dead, and Arbuckle's name was plastered across every newspaper in the country. The rumors were instant and vicious. Some claimed Arbuckle had assaulted her. Others said she died from internal injuries caused during the alleged attack. The press turned the story into a spectacle. The first time America saw a celebrity go from adored to despised overnight.
But the truth?
It was murky at best. Arbuckle claimed Rappe had fallen ill, and that he'd only helped her to a quiet room to rest. By the time others found her, she was unconscious and in pain.
Days later, she was gone.
Her last words, according to witnesses, were haunting. "He did this to me." That was enough to drag Arbuckle into a courtroom. Not once, but 3 times. After 2 hung juries and a final acquittal, the court declared him innocent. But Hollywood had already made up its mind. His films were pulled.
His reputation shattered. His career over. No jail time. No convictions.
Just a stain that never washed off. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened in that hotel suite. But the whispers never stopped. And for Fatty Arbuckle, the real punishment wasn't in prison. It was in being erased from history, remembered only for the scandal that made Hollywood realize just how fast it could turn on its own.
Number 6. Errol Flynn.
Errol Flynn was the ultimate matinee idol. Rugged, charismatic, and larger than life. He was the face of countless swashbuckling adventures, a hero on screen. But behind the scenes, his real-life relationships raised serious eyebrows.
The most infamous?
His deeply controversial romance with a much younger companion, Beverly Odland. Flynn was in his late 40s, with a career that was already beginning to decline. Beverly, according to reports, was still a teenager when the two began traveling together, appearing in public like a couple without shame or secrecy. What made things even more uncomfortable was that Beverly's own mother allegedly supported the relationship, believing it would help her daughter's career. Some speculated the arrangement was more transactional than romantic, a calculated attempt to recapture Flynn's relevance through shock and headlines. Flynn had already faced serious accusations in the past regarding inappropriate behavior, though none had led to convictions. Still, the rumors followed him, and with Beverly, those whispers turned into a full-blown media frenzy. At one point, it was even alleged that they staged fake public arguments using props like ketchup to stir controversy and grab attention from the press. Whether that's true or not, it worked. The tabloids were obsessed, and Flynn was back in the spotlight. He passed away not long after, at just 50 years old. And though the details of his private life remain debated to this day, the shadow left by his relationship with Beverly Odland has never fully faded. It's one of old Hollywood's most unsettling reminders of how stardom, power, and blurred lines often went unchecked in an era obsessed with image over integrity.
Number 5. Clara Bow.
Clara Bow wasn't just a star, she was the star. The original it girl of the 1920s, she had a wild magnetism that couldn't be faked, and fans couldn't get enough of her. But fame came with a price, and in Clara's case, it came crashing down thanks to a single betrayal. It all started when her personal secretary, Daisy DeVoe, walked away from her job, and took Clara's private files with her. Those files reportedly held every personal detail imaginable, from letters to receipts to deeply private moments no one was ever meant to see. Rather than stay quiet, Daisy started making threats. Clara sued her for blackmail, hoping to shut things down quickly, but it backfired. In court, everything came spilling out. Allegations about affairs with married men, wild parties, and secret liaisons were dragged into the spotlight. One particularly disturbing claim, never proven, even suggested Clara had crossed a line so outrageous, many believed it had to be made up. The press didn't care. They ran the story anyway. Whether the claims were real or not didn't matter. The damage was already done. Clara was painted as reckless, out of control, and morally corrupt. And the public, always hungry for scandal, devoured every word. For a woman who had once defined Hollywood's modern image, it was a brutal fall.
Some defended her.
Others turned away. And Clara, crushed by the constant scrutiny, slowly disappeared from the spotlight altogether. To this day, no one can say how much of the scandal was real and how much was revenge. But Clara Bow's story is one of the clearest examples of how old Hollywood could turn on its stars in an instant, especially when a woman's reputation was at stake.
Number 4. Natalie Wood.
To the outside world, Natalie Wood had everything: beauty, talent, and the kind of success most child stars only dream about. But behind the perfect image was a reality few ever saw, shaped by a mother who controlled nearly every moment of her life. According to long-standing rumors, Natalie's childhood wasn't guided, it was managed, manipulated, and in some ways exploited. Her mother, Maria, was a Russian immigrant with big ambitions. After Natalie's father faded from the picture, Maria took full control, determined to make her daughter a star no matter what it took. She became Natalie's unofficial manager, chaperone, and decision-maker. And it wasn't just about landing roles. Reports suggest she dictated what Natalie wore, who she could speak to, and how she had to act both on and off camera. But the darkest rumors go even further. Some say Maria pushed Natalie into uncomfortable situations with powerful men in exchange for career opportunities. It's never been proven, but the whispers have lasted for decades. What's clear is that Natalie spent much of her young life under constant pressure to perform, succeed, and obey, all while never truly having a say in her own future. As Natalie got older, she tried to take back control. She sought independence, began choosing her own roles, and even distanced herself from her mother. But the damage had already been done. The emotional toll of growing up under such strict control reportedly left her anxious, insecure, and constantly questioning her worth. And while Natalie would go on to become one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses, the scars of that early control never fully faded. Her story is a haunting reminder that not all of Hollywood's darkest pressures come from strangers. Sometimes, they come from the people closest to you.
Number 3. Olive Thomas.
She was young, stunning, and on the verge of becoming one of Hollywood's biggest silent film icons. Olive Thomas had the kind of screen presence that made people stop and stare, a rising star in every sense of the word. But her life was cut short at just 25, and the mystery surrounding her death became one of Hollywood's earliest and most unsettling, unsolved stories. In 1920, Olive was in Paris with her husband, fellow actor Jack Pickford, the younger brother of Mary Pickford. According to official reports, Olive mistakenly drank from a bottle of mercury bichloride, a highly toxic substance prescribed to her husband for a private medical condition. The results were fatal, but almost immediately, rumors began to swirl. Some believed it wasn't an accident at all. Others speculated it was something far more tragic, a possible act of desperation following a volatile relationship filled with alleged infidelity, substance abuse, and emotional turmoil. There were whispers of a fight between the couple that night. Some claimed she was trying to end her life. Others believed she may have been poisoned, either intentionally or by mistake. No one could agree, and no one could prove anything. What made things even murkier was how quickly the case was closed. The studio rushed to protect her image. The media scrambled to shape the narrative. And just like that, Olive's story was buried, wrapped in confusion, secrecy, and speculation. To this day, her death remains one of early Hollywood's greatest mysteries. And while her name may not be as widely known now, the story of Olive Thomas still haunts the industry, a beautiful star who vanished at the height of her fame, leaving behind more questions than answers.
Number 2. Jeanette MacDonald.
Jeanette MacDonald was the picture of elegance, a gifted singer and actress who lit up the screen during Hollywood's golden age. And at her side, both on and off screen, was Nelson Eddy, her frequent co-star and the man many believed to be the love of her life. Their chemistry was undeniable, and fans adored them as a pair. But behind the smiles and romantic duets was a love story that Hollywood tried to erase, one that ended in heartbreak, secrecy, and fear. At the height of their careers, MacDonald reportedly became pregnant with Eddy's child. It should have been a personal milestone. Instead, it became a crisis. Studio head Louis B. Mayer was known for his iron grip on his stars, and he allegedly saw their relationship, and the pregnancy, as a threat to his carefully crafted image of them. According to rumors, Mayer gave Jeanette a cruel ultimatum: terminate the pregnancy or risk both their careers.
She complied.
And Eddy, believing she had chosen her career over their child, was devastated. But the tragedy didn't stop there. Some insiders claim Jeanette didn't go through with the procedure, that she suffered a miscarriage instead. But by then, it didn't matter. The damage to their relationship was already done, and Mayer, determined to keep them apart, allegedly ramped up the pressure. From signing brutal contracts to issuing chilling threats, he made sure their love story never made it to the public. Some even believe Mayer went so far as to sabotage Eddy's car, not to harm him, but to send a message. Whether that part is true or just a whispered exaggeration, it reflects the kind of fear and control that existed behind the scenes. In the end, Jeanette and Nelson were separated, not by choice, but by power. Their voices continued to harmonize on screen, but off-screen, Their love had been silenced. It's a story not of failed romance, but of what happens when emotion collides with an industry more concerned with control than compassion.
Number 1. Charles Laughton.
Charles Laughton was one of old Hollywood's most respected actors, a brilliant performer with a commanding presence and a long list of critically acclaimed roles. But while his on-screen work earned him prestige, it's an off-screen rumor that's kept his name floating around in Hollywood's darker corners. According to the infamous Hollywood insider Scotty Bowers, a man known for arranging secret encounters for the rich and famous, Laughton had a request that stood out even among the strangest he'd ever received. Bowers claimed that Laughton once invited him and another man to his home for what appeared to be a normal afternoon, until it wasn't. What unfolded, if true, was bizarre, unsettling, and unlike anything you'd expect from such a refined public figure. The encounter allegedly involved a sandwich, a trip to the bathroom, and a request so peculiar it's rarely spoken about directly. Let's just say that what was reportedly placed between the bread wasn't anything found in a kitchen. And while the claim has never been confirmed, and could easily be the product of exaggeration or shock value storytelling, it became one of old Hollywood's most unsettling and persistent underground rumors. No one can say for certain whether there's any truth to the story. Laughton himself never addressed it, and those close to him dismissed it as nonsense. But like so many strange tales from that era, it stuck. And the fact that it's still whispered about today, decades later, says something about how deeply these rumors, however outlandish, have embedded themselves into Hollywood folklore. In a town where image was everything, sometimes the weirdest stories were the ones people couldn't look away from. Old Hollywood may be long gone, but its shadows are still very much alive. Some of these stories might be twisted exaggerations.
Others?
Maybe they're closer to the truth than anyone wants to admit. But one thing's certain: beneath the glamour and spotlight was a world of secrets, cover-ups, and whispered scandals that never truly disappeared. These rumors may have started decades ago, but they still haunt Hollywood to this day.